I want you to understand the depths we resellers go to dig out literally the treasures that you get from us.
Hi, I'm George the Antique Nomad. Come with me as I wander the country in search of valuable vintage, amazing antiques, and cool collectibles. We'll buy, sell, and trade at antique malls, shops, and shows, estate sales, flea markets, thrift stores, anywhere people go to find really interesting things that just aren't made anymore. So come on, let's go! Hey everybody, it's George the Antique Nomad. My hometown just has an auction house, so the closest place is the county seat about 30 miles away, Madisonville, Kentucky. And it is the best town on earth, so it says. So sorry to all of us who don't live here. Madisonville was named after James Madison. He was actually not yet president when this town was established in 1807. He was the Secretary of State and was organizing the Louisiana Purchase. And that affected this part of Kentucky because parts west of here ended up becoming part of Kentucky as a result. Madisonville does have a Goodwill. It's not a very big one, and they don't get a ton of stuff. But I usually find one or two vintage things in here. I have to say it's still a lot more fun for me than a lot of the ones that I see in places where they've turned into dollar stores. So I'm always willing to give this one a shot. Definitely have learned to look in the kitty corner at the games operation. If that's an old one before there were barcodes, that could be worth something. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, I think this one is newer, yes, because there's Shrek. I have to admit, I always hated Operation because I never could do it without making that horrible beeping noise and his nose turning red. Somebody donated their angel collection, it looks like. From the cereal box to your bicycle. And it's Washington State, 1986. Yeah, for $1 I'll get that. Or look how cute you are. A little bit of false graph, but I don't see anything really spectacular there. Christmas. Horsehead bookend is a little older. I think that was an earlier L.E. Smith. Well, I spent $5. That's actually almost a record for me here. I just don't find a lot here, but I always find a few things, and they're very inexpensive. And I got my favorite game from when I was 7 years old, so I'm looking forward to showing you that, but I'm going to do a little haul at the end. On the right is Farrell's Hamburgers, and Farrell's has been there since 1949. This is the old part of town here. We'll see the county courthouse up here on the left. And the reason we're driving through the old part of town is that while we still have 2 thrift stores and a vendor mall out by the freeway to show you, I wanted to come here first. This is the only antique store in town. It's Kesterson's Antiques. It has been here since 1946. And the gal who runs it is the daughter of the fellow who started it then. It's been in the family all that time. It started as a grocery store, and he saw the writing on the wall and changed to antiques. And Gigi has grown up in this environment and has the right attitude about things. Please handle the merchandise, you'll love it. I love coming into a store that has that attitude, as opposed to, this is a museum and you shall be very quiet and touch nothing and want nothing and connect with nothing and buy nothing. Her way of running the store is very friendly. If you've never been in the store before, you will end up having a wonderful time and a wonderful conversation. It's just a really neat place and has a great vibe. And she's got a nice mix too. I like these. I just bought a purple pair myself. But she does occasionally get some mid-century and oddball things in with the true antiques. This lamp with the cut glass is Bohemian, probably 1940s or 50s. But she does all sorts of things. She's a general line dealer. She's been around the business her whole life, so she knows a lot about a lot of things. She does estate sales in this area. I like this old print. It's very much of that romantic period from the 1890s approximately, where harem girls were portrayed in paintings and pictures, and that is just really fun. She's got a really eclectic mix of things. She is a generalist like I am, and I think that's part of why it's a fun place for me to shop too. So we've got this piece here, this Art Deco vase, which I believe, if I look at the bottom right, looks like a Camark mark. Yes, with the S being kind of curved. That's Camark out of Arkansas from about 1940. She's got lots of nice little pieces of furniture. I wanted to show this Fenton bowl because we are near a window and I can show you in a better light. I keep talking about how the older pieces have real fire to the opal in the opalescence, and it's hard to show. I think I can do it if I hold it up to this window here and you'll see what I mean. Okay, so see around the edges where it glows? You don't get that after about 1960 because they take the chemicals away that make that glow in milk glass.
I got more trivia in my head.
Yes, yes, me too. But yeah, I've seen these, but not in years, where it's all metal, and that's actually really cool.
Well, and it was in good shape.
Right, not banged up or dented or missing a big chunk, yeah.
The other range is the other cutthroat.
Yep, that is fun. She's got a big place. It's a lot bigger than it looks from the outside. It has this back area, which is several rooms. I understand that at one time the family lived here back when it was a grocery store in the other part. And then once they started the antique store, they were able to move out onto a farm. And so this became all just more rooms for display, which is great. And here's a neat inkwell set. She's really gets inkwells a lot, I've noticed, and that's something I enjoy buying from her, so I always ask about them. I like this grape at the bottom. It's a copper with a little bit of a patina, so they were trying to make it look a lot like what Tiffany was doing at that time, although this is not a Tiffany, so it doesn't have a Tiffany price tag. This handsome little piece of furniture is English. Whenever you see these tiled backsplashes like this, these smaller proportions, these are typically English pieces made around 1900 or 1910. They'll have a marble top, and then they usually have one drawer, often with that diamond configuration in the middle. These were done in the early 1900s. They are very popular in the United States, and apparently not so much in England because they seem to be able to export a lot of them. Here is a nice etagere, and in front of it a couple of pieces of Fenton hobnail in the cranberry opalescent. Nice combination. And then there's this lamp. I really dig this lamp. Any sort of figural lamp from the 1920s or 30s with a wonderful ball shade is just right up my alley. And a lot of collectors really prize these because they can go into a lot of different interiors. This could go into a formal antique setting. This could go into a mid-century setting. This could go into an Art Deco setting, or it could go into a film noir. I think she had it priced under $200, which is pretty reasonable. And underneath it is a very nice little fern stand with the little marble top. We see this particular one fairly frequently. They were originally done around 1910, but there are 1950s and 60s versions as well. And if you look at those, the screws are very obviously wrong for being old, so you'll know the difference. This is definitely old, though. This is 1870s, and the way the top projects is what tells us that. That was so you had a big drawer for hats and tall pieces. Nice little setting here. In fact, the whole thing just looks like a nice old home that you're walking right into. And then here's another room full of interesting bits, including this California Originals turtle. Look at all the weird stuff on top. That's because this is from the tortoise and the hare. So you see all sorts of gizmos that he's using to cheat his way into winning against the turtle. This is also California pottery. This would have come with a horse, but that is by the Metlocks company. And at the same time that they were doing all these crazy wild patterns, they were also doing horse and carriages. And then this lamp here is also Californian. That's Lane of California. It's a fairly common piece to see in the Midwest where hunters are, but they like them on the coasts. This is Fire King's Sapphire Blue in the Philby pattern. This was strictly an ovenware line, and this would have been for a casserole to set on, but they sell for $18 to $20, so her price is really good. I'll probably come back for that. And then this quilt is a neat pattern, something really different with the little propeller blades in the middle of the squares. 1940. Yesterday's reproduction, today's collectible. This is Imperial Glass. It was made in the 60s using a Victorian blank. Collectors were furious when they did it, but they marked them IG and you can tell the difference, and they're collectible. Wow, okay, this thing looks really cool. I've got to put it out and sit in it and see. It may be hard to tell what it is with it standing up, but we'll get it out and you'll know in just a moment. I wish it was Florida show season because this would sell in 2 seconds. It is a folding deck chair. It goes to 3 different positions. It's got that plaid oilcloth. Plaid was such a big deal right after the Second World War, so I'm sure it dates to about that time. Abercrombie and Fitch showed plaid in all of their catalogs in that era. It's got this band behind it to hold it together. The condition's excellent. I even sat in it, and for 40 bucks, I'm getting it. That is just a great deal compared to what I was expecting. One thing that I think is wonderful, especially because I have 2 bridge lamps that need shades, is she's got a supply of old lamp fixtures and some replacement parts for old lamps, which is really convenient. These bridge lamp shades look like they'd be perfect for what I want to do, and I am going to have to bring the measurements for that collar because the lamps do have different measurements at the base, and some won't fit every lamp, so you do actually have to take your measurements around. Gigi told me that she had a big jewelry sale, so it's a little picked over, but boy, she does have fun jewelry that comes through here. I like the carved dogwood piece. She gets a little bit of silver and Navajo jewelry as well, but she really gets some interesting costume. Victorian brass beds sell for $300 to $500 typically, so her price is about right, but this one's really nice because it's a little larger, more useful for today, and has this great medallion.
You feel good?
Fenton may have been the pride of West Virginia, but you sure see a lot of it all over the country. It has always been very popular. Gigi is OG as far as uranium glass, or as older dealers call it, Vaseline glass goes. She has had this shelf with various rotating merchandise in uranium glass under a black light for as long as I've known her. There was a time that miniature oil lamps were as collectible as fairy lamps are now. We'll see if that comes back. The thing that has definitely come back in this shelf is the coffee grinder. There are so many people grinding espresso beans at home now, these things sell very readily. That is a lobster kitchen, not a trap. The kitchen's where you put them after you catch them, and people make those into coffee tables now. Ooh, I see something on this shelf I really like. It is this Coca-Cola syrup dispenser. These were little things in the early 60s mimicking the ones in the soda fountains. You could get little bottles and mix your own at home. I have to say I never have trouble selling the blue Fenton hobnail. Much easier than the milk glass. People love the color.
If you have anybody for inkwells, I have 2 real good ones.
Oh, do you?
They're not figural, but
Oh, I like inkwells, even just regular old ones.
one.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Stand-up one. What did I do with that thing? It was on the table.
Camark was the 3rd and longest lived of Arkansas's major pottery companies. This particular piece is going to date to the 1930s when they were still doing artware but switched to molded lines from hand-painted and metallic glaze pieces. This is an unusual set to find, and it's got both the base and the flower frog with the double birds. We see the double swan planter a lot, but not this piece. And this piece I think she has priced a little under $100, which is pretty good for what it is. Well, that was fun in the antique shop, but it's time to find some real thrifty bargains, so let's go somewhere else. Now, there aren't other antique shops in Madisonville, but there is a vendor's mall, and vendor's malls in the Midwest United States are a great place to find antiques and vintage. It's sort of a hybrid. You can sell anything in a vendor's mall, but some people do choose to bring in old things, and some people just happen into old things, and you never know what you might find. I have found some good things here in the past, and they were priced very well. And how they're priced really depends on the vendor. Now, this vendor gets some neat old stuff. I think the big barrel table's fun. I like these theater seats. Those are neat for home theaters. People are buying them for that. And yet, some of the other dealers in here are more thrift store priced. This dealer is a little more of a vintage dealer who knows their prices, and they have some good deals, but they're a little closer to retail. So a vendor mall is really part thrift store, part antique store, and then whatever else. And you'll definitely see that as we walk through here with the forever else. Now, This booth has a half off sign, so I'm definitely going to check out some things in here. The old Cadillac hubcaps are from right around 1970 approximately. I've got a ton of hubcaps to sell already, or else I might be interested. They do have a bunch of these 1970 vintage thermoses, and these are collectible now. I've seen prices go up on these. We had an estate sale, and I think I priced one at $9, and one of my viewers came and bought it and was very happy because she sold it for $20 online. So it's another area of collecting, and it's not just the character ones that sell now. So I see a little sign on this shelf that says, "Wow, antique books," and wow, I guess they all sold already because none of these are antique books. In fact, a lot of them are really pretty contemporary, particularly the Tom Clancy. I'm not sure where the antique books are supposed to be in here. They're fun, but they're not antique. This booth has a bunch of these old-looking milk bottles, but they have put new decals on them, so do not be fooled. The clown and Coca-Cola and Porky Pig did not come on these originally. On the other hand, these are older. These are Sirocco or Burwood or Dart Industries, all pretty comparable in value. I think this one seems to have the Burwood mark, and I like the look of these. Look at them together. 2 levels of shelf display, and the price seems right. I think I'll get those. Now, this dealer always has antique and vintage glass and kitchenwares. There's a nice porcelain coffee pot with a Bakelite handle on it. 1930s, great shape. This is a Hazel Atlas pink depression glass mixing bowl. You see these in a lot of different colors, and during the Second World War you'd see them in clear with red, white, and blue stripes. But of course right now the ones everybody want are the green ones because they do have uranium in them and they glow. This is poinsettia or floral pattern, depression glass, 1930s. I love the all over pattern, and of course that was to hide flaws and bubbles. Let's see what else they have. Looking up here we see a drip cup syrup with a little different pattern in the honeycomb and some Kentucky Derby glasses. Down on this shelf we see the swirl pattern of Fostoria Colony. That was good quality, elegant glass with a strong pattern. But around the same time they were also making black amethyst glass, and this is actually more popular now. And here is a case full of beer cans, and I think somebody made this case specifically for them. I suspect this entire collection was brought in as one unit, and they are flat tops, so they're 1960s, but there's some fun ones. Apparently, if you wanted to laugh while you were drinking, you bought Old Frothing Slosh. This is Miss Old Frothing Slosh of 1969, chosen on the basis of beauty, talent, poise, and quantity. She is the woman who best symbolizes Old Frothing Slosh, made by Pittsburgh Brewing Company. This was done as a novelty, obviously. Her occupation is trapeze artist, and she's studying arc welding at night. There were several issues of these. These were the cheap ones. Schmidt beer, the one to have when you're having more than one. We referred to them as animal beer because they usually had animals on the sides of them, like this lovely collie dog here. A bear with a dent in his behind. A skier. And a rodeo cowboy. A couple of big old signs here, which is nice. $25 for dip. That could be fun. No passing zone is $30. That's actually a pretty big sign. That might be worth buying. And one way is $20. None of those are terrible prices. Signs have just really gotten expensive. This booth is another 50% off, so let's see what they've got. Daisy set would be $17.50. It's more than I'm willing to go. Lusterware Ducky is about $5 now, made in Japan, 1930s. Nice big piece of purple slag glass, and that's going to go down from $75 to $37.50. That's actually tempting because I like the color. The needle blue and white crockery is a little as is. This is too, but they were not afraid to put a big price on it anyway, unfortunately. So while I'm thinking of it, please comment in the space below here and also hit the thumbs up button to like this video. If you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button below. Also hit the bell below to be notified of new videos coming every Monday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And thank you so much for following along. Let's go back to this video.
This is the most common of the old Coke trays, and she's in bad shape, so I'll leave her be. I do like her, though. A friend of mine's mother was friends with the woman who was the model. This is Royal Copley. Half of 18 would be $9. Not a terrible price. It's an attractive piece. I don't think there's enough money in it to make it worth getting. The old Pepsi glasses are going to be $3 each. That makes them reasonable. And there's a Elvis. We've got a bunch up here at half price, $1.50 or $2, which is certainly cheap enough. I'd really like to get hold of the soybean plates from the Second World War. I think those are Illinois, though. Little Japanese music box that looks Hollywood Regency. I just bought one of these at an estate sale for less than that, though. Here's some swanky swigs. They're certainly cheap enough at $2 each. I might pick up a couple of those just because I don't have them in stock right now. We see them fairly commonly, but people like them.
This dealer may have found one of those original Jim Beam collector's manuals that said these were worth a lot, because they've got 20 bucks a piece on these, and I can guarantee you every one of them will still be here the next time I come back.
I see an amber swung vase in the middle of all this general household stuff. So let's see what the price on that is. It's not the most exciting color, but it is Viking glass, and it is $20. I'll point out this dish, this little handled nappy, because this is pattern glass. This is quite old. This is 1890s approximately. I believe this is the Colorado pattern with that foot. It's $8.75. These horses may be of interest. Let's see the clock here. $68. That's pretty much retail. This is a McCoy piece, and it's got the angelfish on it. They're kind of hard to see, but it's a great design. I'm not wild about it in brown, though. If it was blue or a brighter color, I would get that. Airbrush picture with the mirror. It says it's from 1942. That seems about right. $20, not a bad price. Mirror is reacting a little bit up at the top, though. Old pump for $40. That's not a bad price. I just got $70 for mine. Now here's a case that's got some pretty cool things. These are bayonets dating from the 1880s to the Second World War, and they have them well chronicled. They've got the Austrian for $97.50, which is from the 1880s on the top. The one on the right here is a World War II Remington. They want $330 for that. The bottom two here are Kokura Arsenal and Toyota Arsenal, $169 and $219. The smaller ones, the French one is priced at $45, and I know that's about the right price for that, so I suspect they know what they're doing. Trapdoor Cadet here, they say that's rare. They've got that at $459. Cool stuff. I don't see any value for me as a reseller in them, but I do think they're neat.
He said he'd do $100.
Oh, are you sure? Okay, thanks. Well, I'm going to buy a bunch of road signs for $100, so that's cool. And then we've got the J.C. Higgins Drake, $23.75. That could be worth as much as $35. Not quite enough room for me to make money, but it's really well priced for being in good condition and having the glass eyes. The female is also $23. These down here are Victor, and they're in the $25 range. The paper mache ones just don't sell for a lot, but they're really neat looking, I think. And then these are in the $40 range. We see these smoking tobacco boxes a lot with Santa Claus, but he is really cute. He's $12.99. I've gotten as much as $20 for him before. Some pocket tins. The Prince Albert with the old-timer knives. It's the knife advertising that makes that one a little more special. They've got a couple of dealers with coins, and I want to show you these slabs because slabs make coins more valuable. It means they send it to a grading service that stands behind the grade, and as long as the slab is not cracked open, they can be resold, and the assumption is that they are as graded professionally. That's especially important on some of the uncirculated ones. MS63 means mint state or uncirculated, and 63 is kind of a middle uncirculated grade. Uncirculateds do grade differently depending on whether they knocked against each other in the bag and scratched each other or that sort of thing.
I don't do a lot of contemporary stuff. I'm noticing the antique and vintage is priced at retail, but there are a lot of new things or newer things in this store that are bargains for resellers, so hopefully I'll find a bargain too. Oh, and this isn't bad. Fenton Bell, $8. Custard. Probably glows under a black light.
Vendor malls are funny in that you just don't know space to space what you're going to find. You can have a Yoda clock, which is brand new, but cute, sitting next to a 1970s liquor advertising picture, priced at $6.95. That's actually fairly cheap. Here's a bunch of Mother's Day plates. They're only $3 each, and a hall teapot. So they're fun because there's a lot of variety, and a lot of different resellers can make money shopping in these places, not just antique folks. And then here we've got a stack of phones. Old monophone for $39.95. This old hotel style. It doesn't have a dial because it was an extension. Also got a nicely refinished mission style desk from about 1910 for $2.25. And if you want to make your piano innards into wall art, this is what it'll look like. Kind of a clever thing to do, really.
Well, I did get the road signs at the vendor mall and a couple of Kentucky Derby glasses. It's the tale of where you're selling. The Kentucky Derby glasses that I bought are from the late 70s, early 80s, and they're selling for about $9 to $10 each. They were priced at $3 each. Now, for a reseller selling online, that wouldn't be enough of a margin because by the time you pay shipping, you're not making anything. But I sell in an antique mall in Kentucky, and they will sell at $9 to $10 each to people just walking in the door. So for me, I'm tripling my money. So in that case, it's worth doing. That's why being an online reseller and a real-world reseller are different, and I'm glad I do both because there is a place for both. And what you can buy and sell really varies depending. Now, this next place that we're going is called the Indoor Flea Market. A crazy place. It's open 9 till dark, and that's what they really mean. They just stay open depending on the time of the year till it's dark. This place is so stuffed full. I do occasionally find a thing or two here, and it's fun to look because there's just so much. So we'll take a look in this hoard. This is the kind of place that needs this sign because there's a lot everywhere, including on the floor. Is that rubber? No, I guess it's actually fabric. The new stock just goes on top of the old stock, so there's probably great things if you were willing to dig. Resellers of all types could find things here to make money on, but you'd really have to be dedicated to go through all of this stuff. A bag full of clothes, $10 for a shopping bag full. Ooh, Walt Disney's alphabet. See, this is why you have to dig, but it's in bad shape. Let's take a look real quickly at some records. Dean Martin. Dean Martin again. Donnie and Marie. Ooh, remember those hairstyles? She looks a lot better now, in my opinion. Ernest Tubbs. Texas Troubadours. This one's got the cellophane, that helps, but it's not a particularly valuable album.
You are under surveillance.
I always hope that I'll find some sleeper in a place like this, and occasionally you do. These are Royal Ruby from the early 50s. But I don't think I see anything jumping out at me today. And this is the kind of place where it could literally jump out at you if you aren't careful. This is Blue Ridge. It just goes on and on and on. And each bit is a little more frightening than the last. Oh no, there's something, a fake fireplace. $25 though. Ooh, and it's really heavy. Yeah, it doesn't have the spinning part, so Not for me. It'd have to be all there for that price.
Well, I didn't find anything there today, but I just had to show you that place because I want you to understand the depths we resellers go to dig out literally the treasures that you get from us. Well, one last stop today, it's Salvation Army. I've donated to this Salvation Army before. I've never shopped here. It's a very small store. We've got our fingers crossed.
Little dog is a candy container. Bottom. Ooh, from the Grand Ole Opry, souvenir. 39 cents. Well, I think I have to get him for 39 cents. Oh, here's an old print. $2.99. That's nice with the fountain in the middle. It sort of looks like Fox. I'm not sure that it is, but it's that era. That's pretty enough to pick up, I think, for that price.
Well, I did find one print, so that was something, but that's it. Well, here's the haul for the local shopping day, and I did all right. These road signs, the value depends on the size and what they say. People use them at their houses, but people use them for other reasons as well. Dip is kind of funny, and it's large, no passing zone. I rarely run into these, and again, a bigger size, so a little more valuable. One ways are good. They're popular with a whole lot of different people. I've seen people buy them because they had a thing on their property. I've seen people buy them because they thought they were great graphic, and I've seen people buy them because they are evangelical and refer to it in a religious sense. So a lot of different customers for those, so they sell for more. So no parking and exit only should sell for about 25 to 30. The one way's probably 35, and I'd say maybe as much as 40 a piece on the other two because of the size. They're harder to find. Now, if road signs are not your idea of decorating beauty, this might be. This is in the style of Fox and Parrish from the 1920s era. A little bit of foxing. I'll have to see. That mat probably should be changed. But very pretty night scene, and it was only $2.99. The chair here is really cool. Now, that came from the antique store, so I paid $40 for it. I think it was a wonderful deal. It's strong enough for me to sit in. Plaid was really popular in the late 40s, and it feels like sort of an oilcloth, which is what they had back then that was rain and water resistant. And so this would have been from that era. It folds up flat. It's a wonderful design. So I would say in Florida, if I had it down there, it would go for $100. And I might get close to that here. I'm going to try. Other things on the chair, just some little glasses. Those came from the Pickers Mall. I paid $2 each for the Swanky Swigs and $3 each for Kentucky Derby. The Swanky Swigs were done by Kraft Foods, or for Kraft Foods actually, by glass companies, in order to hold little spread cheeses and other types of things that they made. Promotional giveaways started in 1936 and went on through the 70s. Lots of collectors. 85 Kentucky Derby, 81, 76. The hair comb I expect will fetch in the $20 range for me. The confetti compact is great and it's in nice shape. I would expect that to get around maybe in the $35 range. This was a great deal. The construction on this appears to be Shriner, Regency, or Warner, because those companies used hooks and eyes and they stacked things. And that makes this a pretty valuable set of jewelry. I paid $32.50. And then the little basket here is a Makah. The Scrabble game, which has the wood tiles, I think we all know to buy those now, $2. And then my favorite game when I was a kid, we got this for Christmas, and I thought it was the best game ever because I loved cars and I loved wheeling and dealing. Gee, surprise. So there is what would have been a pretty new Corvette back in that era. And look at the granny with the granny bag. The granny bag is great, actually. But it's funny to imagine that back then, those were seen as something that little old ladies bought. Nowadays, they're something that hipsters buy. How the world has changed. The box has one little tear at the corner, but it appears to have all its other things. And this is what happens after Granny goes on her test drive. The graphics are very early 70s. It's orange. The car is orange. It could not be more 70s. It's got all the stuff. The game, as I recall, consists of buying, selling, swindling, and otherwise getting hold of various cars that were either classics at the time or close to new. They made this game for several years after this. They never really updated the cars, though. The 71 Cadillac. I think Michael Jackson and his family had one of those in the station wagon form. The checker cab, the A56 Lincoln Continental. That was a beautiful car. They were far ahead of their time and very expensive. The first car to sell for over $10,000. I don't find a lot close to home unless the auction is going. And this shows the reason why, but I did find some good things at Gigi's at the antique shop. I found a few things at the vendor mall and one or two things elsewhere around town, so it'll augment what I have to take to the next show. I'm glad I don't have to live on just what I find locally, because I don't know that I could make enough in this business with as little merchandise as comes through this area, but there were a few things and I'm glad to have them. Thanks for joining me again in the fun and fascinating antique community, here where online meets the real world. Please click the subscribe button below, click the bell to be notified when new videos upload, leave a comment below, and hit thumbs up to like this video. Links to our online social media daily posts and our items for sale are in the description. This is George at the Antique Nomad. Bye for now.